everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica and today's video is going to be on this dewy glass skin makeup look. Also, I tried to do the wet hair look again and I don't know why, but every time I try to do it, I just end up looking greasy. So if anybody knows how to do it, please help me. This video is also made in partnership with Medicube, so if you want to get ready together, then just keep watching. Okay, today let's start with skin prep since this is a skin focused look. So you guys know I've been replacing my primers with serums. And I don't know if you guys remember, but I mentioned in another video that I was trying this out. This is the viral Medicube Booster H device. And if you guys aren't familiar with Medicube, they're basically known for their advanced beauty technology, and they have a bunch of different devices that are meant to give you the effects of professional beauty treatments from home without the needles, recovery time, or extra maintenance cost. So how it works is you just turn it on by holding this button. And then once it's on, you can switch between 5 levels of intensity by pressing that button again.
Level 4, level 5.
So this one specifically is for radiance boosting, and how it does that is it creates temporary passageways on your skin through electrical stimulation, which helps your skin better absorb product and look more glowy overall, which is the look we're going for today. So I'm gonna apply my serum straight to the device. They recommend you start at level 1 and then increase it over time depending on your skincare needs. But if you're using around your eye area, make sure you're using at level 1 since the skin there is thinner. There are also 3 different ways you can use the Booster H. So there's the watering method, which you saw when I applied it. It's just in a circular rolling motion. And then there's the boosting method, which is in a sliding motion. And then there's also the focusing method, which is where you press it into targeted areas. Most people pick a method depending on what their skin needs. So usually when I'm applying the product to my face, I use the watering method. This is like when the product is wet and hasn't absorbed into your skin yet. And then once it starts absorbing, I like using the boosting method. And then focusing, I just use as needed for areas that need more intensive care. So like around my nose, because that's usually where I deal with dry patches. I like working in sections with this and just like applying a little bit of moisturizer to each area so I can make sure that each section gets enough moisture instead of just like applying it everywhere. But yeah, I've been loving using this right before I do my makeup. It just helps my skin absorb moisture better so I don't get those dry patches because I have really dry skin. They recommend you use this for up to 5 minutes per session, by the way. Like, it's better to use it in short, frequent intervals rather than just one long session. This is my skin before and after. It's absorbed all of the moisture. This is just the leftover glow. Okay, now that our skin's fully absorbed the moisture, I'm going to move on to SPF. Fill up 2 fingers. Like that. This has become my new favorite SPF because it never disrupts the makeup. My skin has been looking so good lately. I mean, like, I have some zits from my period, but overall the texture of it is the best it's ever been. I got a new cushion foundation from Clio, and this is in the shade Ginger. I think it's their darkest shade, but it might be too light for me, so let's try it out. Oh, wait, I don't think it's too light. I'm going back to the normal cushion because I don't really like the mesh one as much as the original, the new fountain wear cushion. Okay, next let's set any areas that normally crease. So right under the eyes. We're not going to use very much powder today actually because we want it to look very glowy still. So I'm being very selective with where I'm putting powder, like just right around the nose and then under the eyes. Okay, before we continue with the base, I actually want to move on to the eyes. I want to do like a wet makeup look today. Almost like a crying makeup look, but it's more like the whole face is wet. So you want the eyes to look like a little bit reddish, like you've been rubbing it. So I'm using my Tower 28 multi-liner. Next, I'm using my Millefay palette, and I'm gonna take this shade. I'm using a really small ColourPop brush. I found out recently that like ever since I moved out of my apartment last year, all of my ColourPop packages have been getting stolen. The person who lives there, if you get a package that's not yours, you're supposed to give it to the leasing office and they'll send it back to the sender. But this person wasn't doing that. Moving on to my Flower Nose palette, I'm gonna be taking this shade and then we're gonna contour the eyes. So we're gonna make the eyes look like slightly downturned today to make them look like a little bit sad. And then take this shade. We're gonna make the under eye fat a little more downturned today too. So instead of going straight across, we're going to go from bottom here and then up. Next, we're gonna take this glitter and then stamp it right underneath the pupil. And then I'm gonna take a shimmer liner, fill this little pocket in, and then set it with the glitter. I'm gonna define the eyes a little bit more with the dark brown eyeshadow. Next, I'm gonna curl my lashes and apply mascara. Pinch them together to get like the wet lash look. Because you know how lashes, like naturally when they're wet, they just separate. And then I'm gonna apply individual lashes. So I used black ones on that outer corner, and then for the 2 inner corner ones, I'm gonna use brown ones. You see how the lashes look wet? Let's do the lower lashes. Let's squeeze them together. And then I'm gonna apply lower lashes. Remember to set the lashes with eyeshadow so they don't stick together. Now we're gonna add some glitter to the upper lashes, just like a little bit to make them look more wet. And then take a gel liner and line the upper waterline. Okay, now for the brows, I wanna do like sort of an upturned type of brow look today. So we're gonna start with brow gel. Take a spoolie and rub it in. Pull the brow hairs this way. Just like work the product in so that we can shape it easier. Now at the front, we're gonna pull it up, and then the rest we're gonna pull it down. And then I like to press it in so it like lays flat against my skin. Draw hairs higher than usual at the front. And then I feel like the pink is getting lost, so I'm gonna use a pinker liner. For cream contour, I'm using my Fenty Beauty cream bronzer in amber. I'm using the Il Makiage 170 brush. And then once everything is blended in, I'm going to use my cream blush. This is the M Cosmetics So Soft Blush in Chiffon. It's such a pretty pink shade. I really want a lot of the pinkness to be like around the eyes. Let's powder contour the nose. There's a car parked outside that won't turn off their engine. But I wanted to talk about this drama that I saw on TikTok recently. There's this brand that's known for doing brand trips, right? I saw they invited a creator, and long story short, the creator found out that she had been invited for less days than other creators, or something along those lines. Like there might have been a miscommunication, but what she thought was that they had invited her for less days than other creators. And I was actually really shocked to see that in the comments, a lot of people were saying that she was exaggerating and being ungrateful because like at least she was invited at all. But for context, this creator is a person of color, and this brand also has a history of not treating people of color the same. It was really shocking to see how many people were calling her ungrateful. If you feel like you're being treated differently on a trip, even though you're grateful for the opportunity, it feels bad, right? Like I don't think people should be gaslighting them for how they feel. Some people are saying like, oh, it's business. Like if you have less followers or whatever, then that's just what you should expect. But I think it's just like in poor taste. If a brand is bringing people on a trip, they should be treating everybody the same. Next, I'm gonna use my Tower 28 multi-liner in Work of Art. But yeah, anyway, it was just something that bothered me because a lot of people are saying like, oh, like just be grateful. But you wouldn't even want to be there in the first place if you feel like you're being treated lesser than others. I think a lot of times brands don't understand the nuances with people. I've heard a lot of drama happens on brand trips. Then there's a lot of anxiety associated with it too, like going when you don't know anybody. So obviously if you're treated lesser than, it would make you feel even worse. I'm trying to do like pouty lips, like that shape. And then let's do a little bit downturned. I'm just smudging out the lips with some blush. I'm gonna use this Romand tint. And then let's add some lip gloss. This is my favorite Peri Para Ink Glasting Gloss. And then I'm gonna add a little bit more blush to my Cupid's bow. So it looks like the rubbing your nose type of effect. I want this area to be lighter, so it looks like, you know when you're pouting, like this area like kind of puffs out. I want to get that effect. Oh, we forgot to put blush on the chin. Now for the face gloss. So we're using the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Highlighter and Balm Duo in Nude. If you guys like the glass skin look, you need this. It's basically there's a balm on one side that you can use to get like a clear, shiny finish. And then on the other side, there's a highlighter, a cream highlighter. Today we're gonna be using the balm side. And then let's use the MAC Fix Plus again. And this is the completed look. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks again to Medicube for sponsoring this video. I'll link all of the information for that in the description box down below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!